Hey everyone, welcome back to Nick's Garage Builds. Previously we did a front fork install on this bike. Black Cherry is its name. It's a beautiful bike. Now we're going to match a sweet swing arm setup to match the front end so we can have like the complete awesome package of a 14 front and a 12 rear. We are going to take this Cobra RS swing arm. I'm not even sure what this bike is, but someone off the internet was kind enough to let me know that this actually fits inside here. So we're gonna chop the back off. We'll slide these up here. These have some sweet adjusters, so we could technically get rid of the chain tensioner if we wanted to, and we'll just weld everything up. We'll use just some stock steel to fabricate a new brake bracket, as I find these to be a little underwhelming when we start upgrading to the next thing, the big brake. This comes off ATV, and it will mount to the rear and run all the way up to the left hand handlebar. And you'll need a little bit of things like a brake rotor, obviously, for this wheel, and a slightly longer axle bolt. This isn't necessary, but I would highly recommend an upgraded motor, whether it be Electro & Co. or you fit a QS in there. Any upgraded motor is better than Weber. So let's get started. Swing arms out. Like I said, we're gonna chop just the backs off. I'm gonna chop the brake bracket off. I take off a lot of this unnecessary. I think it was chain guard stuff. There's 1, 2, 3, I guess, is a chain guard cover. I chop all that little stuff off too and just grind them down and make them nice. So we're gonna go ahead and start chopping. Woo-wee. Bam. Just going to cut this one as close to this weld as I can. I want as much as this run as I possibly can take from the swing arm so we can adjust it to accommodate the largest wheel if we ever choose to do that in the future. All swing arms are chopped. These are the 2 pieces we needed off that Cobra. Ends are cut off and the little bit of bits. We're just gonna first grind everything around here, and I'm gonna grind these. I don't know which position I'm gonna put them in yet, but this will save me time later pulling them back out and doing it. We're gonna have to weld it, so I wanna just do it now and be done with it. Everything's grinded, so you are going to watch me put this in real life. Never done it, don't know if it fits. Seems a bit snug. We'll start with a mallet, and if we have to step up to the big boy, we will. All right. Okay, so we got them started. We'll put the motor in first and the tire in to see how much space. I definitely want to go in further than this, but they're in. It's an easy start, so we'll just go with that first. So this has come up with other people that I've spoken to, and there's no way I can put the front bolt in, and these are still 4 to 5 millimeters off. It hits the frame, and that just absolutely prevents me from putting them all in. If you look at the back of these motors, they've already attempted to grind a spot out. I'm just gonna hit that, make it a little bit deeper and larger to start all these bolts, in case you guys run into that issue. Motor now fits, got all 3 bolts started. We're just gonna loosely snug them up, put the wheel in and mock everything up now. A couple notes, I put all the adjusters all the way to the front. That way I can get the whole length of adjustment. Put the wheel in there, and now I'm just going to spend my time tapping these further into the arm and get closer to this motor. I don't want to get right up to the motor, but I definitely want more of these arms in there for a stronger build and a little bit more weld quality. Once you guys get your pieces hidden as far as you think you want them and you're ready to move on, I suggest mocking up the wheel and the chain with your motor So you can get like a good idea of alignment and if you're close. And at this time you also can measure like if you need different spacers and stuff like that in order to make this setup work. Laid out the chain before, guys. Spend a little bit of time just making sure that like your angles here are straight, that you're not bowed in. If anything, I made the back slightly out, maybe 1/8 of an inch at most, because your bolt will always bring them in, but when it's in like this, then you got to pull it apart to put spacers in there. So if it is, if anything, pull out. Even when you start your welds, I would start on the outside because it's going to want to pull out. Everything else, you know, the up-down alignment was so tight, like it's going to follow whatever this channel is anyway, so I don't have to worry about that. And then after that, that's it. We'll make our hoops soon. That'll go from here to there. And then after that, we'll make our brake bracket, and we'll have to slot that because now we have an adjusting wheel, so we're going to need a brake bracket that is also slotted that can go with it. All right, so I did the alignment and I welded in the bars. That should be perfectly aligned with the wheel and everything. I do want to add a gusset still from here to there. My buddy came up with this idea. He's like, why don't you use your old bend handlebars, which I thought was amazing because it doesn't cost anything. So I'm gonna chop it from here to there, and we'll be able to add, hopefully, that section from here to a little bit before the rear wheel. These were the tubes I cut off. As you can see, I had to bevel this edge, bevel this just a little bit, and they're gonna go on there just before, I wanna put them right just before the adjusters slots. And then they kind of fit on there. I'm gonna have to spend my time welding, taking it a little bit slow so I don't generate too much heat as the gaps are just a little bit bigger than I like, but it should work fine. So we welded the gussets in, turned out real nice, painted everything black. I forgot to cover the brake bracket. So we had to develop a brake bracket that was going to travel with the wheel. I took a 12mm dowel pin and I just welded that after I mocked everything up. So the bolt's gonna go in through the axle of the wheel, and then when we adjust everything, it's just gonna go back and forth with the wheel as we adjust for chain tightness. To touch on a couple things before we move on, I had 30mm of spacers I had to make there. You might end up with something different depending on like where your welds end up and what bracket you're gonna go with. I used a really thick bracket because that's all the metal I had here at home, but really you should use 3/16 and you're totally fine. I also made a couple of small spacers, and that is going to go, so when I put my brake bracket on, it'll be the spacers in between there. And then everything will align perfectly. So swing arm, all bolted on, real quick wiring, real quick cable break running, we'll clean all that up. Gave a nice program according to what Electro & Co wants, and this thing rips. Gonna clean it up. All right guys, been 3 weeks for me. Hopefully a little bit less than that for you to watch this video. Love this build. Swing arm's done. This is probably my favorite bike. You can see direct comparison to a Mototech, which is a 14 front, 12 rear. Very similar size, but I honestly think the triangle and the ride of this is much better than the Mototech, even though it's a great bike. You can take a direct comparison to Frankenstein here, which is a 17 front, 14 rear. Great bike, but to me, this is the setup to go with for a RZR. If you enjoyed this, please like, subscribe, and watch my other videos, and I hope to see you next time. Thanks, guys.